Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Saturday, June 13th, 2015. This is episode 1195. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used iPhone, iPad, or other Apple product is worth at Gazelle.com. And by the Ring Video Doorbell. With Ring, I can see and talk to anyone at my door from anywhere in the world using my smartphone. You can too. It's kind of like caller ID for your house. Get $25 off the Ring Video Doorbell when you go to ring.com/techguy. And by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to 100-plus job sites, including social networks, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter with a free 4-day trial now at ZipRecruiter.com/techguy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, and all that jazz. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere around the U.S. or Canada. I'm a little bit, maybe you can give me some fashion advice. Heather Hammond, our phone ranger, is here. Lisa says, I shouldn't wear my Apple Watch tonight. We're going to a dinner sponsored and hosted by a bunch of fancy watch folk. You know, like German watchmakers, Lang & Sohn, and editors. My friend Kevin Rose, who's now CEO of Hodinkee. You know Hodinkee. Who doesn't? I think that's a watch blog. I don't know. Anyway, a bunch of people who are wearing nice watches, fancy watches. And here I am, and I'm wearing my Apple Watch, and I'm thinking, should I wear this? Because I don't want them to think that I think this is great, like the height of fashion. On the other hand, I don't want to take it off just because of them. Decisions. I don't.
Maybe they expect you to wear it also.
Because I'm a geek.
An expectation.
I'm there as a geek. They know I'm a geek. Look what I'm wearing. So.
At least bring it along.
I don't know.
I'm sure they want to see it.
I don't know what. Well, they've seen it. Goodness gracious.
Okay.
They've seen it, and they already have poo-pooed it. Did you see one of the fashion editors of the New York Times wrote a long article about why she's breaking up with her Apple Watch? And what she said I didn't disagree with, but it hurt me. She said, even though it's the best-looking smartwatch, it still looks like there's a gadget strapped to your wrist. I'm sitting here with two other guys wearing Apple Watches, so at least we're in good company. We do the Apple Watch salute, which is you raise your fist in the air to show your wrist. It's the fist-to-wrist salute. Apple Watch wearers, I salute you. I know. I think it's kind of dopey. I don't know what to say. I can't decide. Well, that's not the big story. Really, the big story today, and it's a huge story, is the break-in by, they always blame Chinese hackers. I don't know if it's really, it's hard to figure out if it's Chinese hackers or people posing as Chinese hackers. It's not like they leave a calling card. They broke into the OPM database, the Office of Personnel Management, the United States federal government. Now, you might say, well, big deal. What could they have there? Oh, everything. Not just social security numbers. Not just information about birth dates and addresses. We're not talking just identity fraud here. This is the database also where security clearance information is stored on millions of federal employees. Oh, not just employees, contractors. In fact, if you've ever worked for the United States government in any capacity, oh boy, As usual with these security breaches, the first announcement is, well, we think there are 1 million records. And then, of course, every day goes by. Well, no, now it's 20 million. Oh, no, it's all of them. All of them. And the funny thing is, the OPM has this security information, this security thing, program to protect them called Einstein, which apparently isn't that bright because Einstein didn't notice. In fact, you know how they found out? This is really embarrassing. They found out when another security firm came in to do a sales pitch. And they ran their software and said, oh, you know, you should check. There's something on your network. What? But Einstein didn't find it. Now, of course, the president and the rest of the government's blaming China. And certainly we know that the Chinese government has a very active cyber espionage division. In fact, last year, I think 5 Chinese military officials were indicted on charges of commercial cyber espionage. But this isn't commercial, isn't it? This is this is blackmail material. That's what there's some concern about that because it's the clearance database. You know, that's when you want a government job and the FBI agents go and interview your family and your friends and your former coworkers and find out all the dirt on you. And then don't worry, they store it securely in a secret dossier on a government server, which has just been hacked by the Chinese. The breach was discovered in April. What is this, June? Wasn't until May. They found the breach. Then the next month they realized, oh, they've taken personnel data. I shouldn't laugh. The breach actually took place, I think, in December. And so it's taking them a while to figure out what the bad guys got because it was so long ago. Why don't you ask Einstein? He might know. No. So this is bad, needless to say. And it's just it's getting to the point now where it's, oh, yeah, another one. You expected the federal government's security to be better than Target's? No, I'm afraid not. They don't. Did they talk about how it happened? Usually these things happen with something called a spear phishing attack. You know, if it is the Chinese government or sophisticated hackers, and you got to think it's probably a foreign power of some sort. They target. It's not just like. Sorry, I didn't mean to use the word target. They aim at these databases. It's not like the normal hack that you and I would encounter, where they're just trying to get a bunch of people, and you know, it's kind of like throw it out there, see who gets bit. They aim at these OPM and probably sent emails to OPM employees, you know, phishing emails and that kind of thing. The background check database contains what they call SF-86 data. Oh. That includes financial histories, investment records, children and relatives' names, foreign trips taken, contacts with foreign nationals, past residences, and names of neighbors and close friends. So if you know anybody who's ever worked for the government or tried to, well, they know you now. Apparently there were 2 hacks. And, of course, it goes much deeper than anybody has admitted at first. And it is not the end. And if you are one of the people affected, I don't even know what you should do. Are you going to get, you might get an email. Hey, just to let you know. Wow. Wow. I don't even know what to say anymore. Just amazing. So since the last time we met, Apple had an event, didn't they? The Worldwide Developers Conference. I guess we'll defer conversation about that till later in the show. Nothing to write home about. Oh, well, there's this music thing. Actually, I'm really curious to hear from real people. What do you think of this Apple Music thing? Are you going to try it? The idea, of course, is that instead of buying music at iTunes, see, Apple's got a problem, right? You buy music at iTunes. That was the #1 retailer in the world for music, not just digital music, all music. But people are moving to Spotify like crazy. Spotify just announced 75 million users, 25 million paying users. Pandora's got 100 million users. Those are all people who probably aren't buying a lot of music. they're basically renting it. So Apple responded last year. They bought a company called Beats, you know, the headphone company. Beats had just started a new streaming music service. Wasn't huge, about 100,000 users. But Apple bought them and has now revamped them, renamed it Apple Music. You can't believe me. The advertising campaign is already everywhere and will be and continue to be everywhere. It launches end of the month for everything but Android phones. You guys will have to wait till the fall. I'm curious, is it tempting? 3 months free is a good start. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Your call's next. I recognize that fuzz tone. Must be Nathan Staten, our musical director, is back in town. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. That's a toll-free number anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside those areas, please call us anyway. Heather Hammond, the phone rangers, she's taking the calls. We've had international callers almost every show for the last couple of weeks. I love that. I love me some international callers.
It's so exciting to think about.
So romantic as we jet away to Buenos Aires.
Yeah, they're right here in our ears.
Yeah.
I would have to get on a jet and travel for hours to go to where they live.
Don't you think we get so used to the changes that technology and the internet have wrought? We become complacent to them, but really we can communicate in real time almost with 1 billion, 2 billion people almost anywhere in the world. We can even do video, and we just, somebody's calling us from, Estonia, so what? Big deal. It's cool.
Yeah.
Remember, you don't remember, you're too young, but in the old days, when you made a long-distance call, you'd say, quick, I'm on long distance. Can you get them fast? It's costing me $1 a minute. Now it's free. It's free. As far as I can tell, I don't think I've paid a long-distance bill in some time. Have you? No.
No.
It's like free.
And all that roaming garbage is, well, unless you're traveling, sort of a thing of the past in the U.S. anyway.
You can still make a person-to-person call, though. Or call collect. I know it's free.
If you're in jail?
If you're in jail, that's pretty much it. That's, you know what? When you get a collect call, you know it's from somebody incarcerated in our fine penal system here in the United States of America. Don't you think? That's the only time I ever get collect calls.
I haven't gotten one on this show.
Did Dr. Dean get a lot of calls from inmates? Probably.
I think I got one or two.
I got... So I'm wondering, what's the optimal length for a shank? Let's not talk about that, but let's instead go to the phones. You have so many calls for us.
Yeah, Kevin in Corona has a much more pleasant question.
Beautiful Corona. Hello, Kevin. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. Welcome.
Yes. Hey, I just wanted to make a comment. I know you've been talking about HD audio quite a bit. And I guess this is just an opinion, but I've heard HD audio, and I don't think it's the same difference between like SD video and HD.
No, it's not. No, I
agree. Where the average person could walk into a big box store and go, wow, that looks amazing.
Yeah.
I think most people wouldn't really tell the difference. And I think the other thing is there's a huge component in what you're listening on. Right?
Absolutely.
From $20 headphones, you're not going to hear the difference.
Absolutely.
In the car, you're probably not going to hear the difference.
Yep.
Unless you've got some, studio monitors or some really nice headphones, and your ears can even tell the difference. I just don't think it's worth it. I think, 196, which is pretty standard these days. Most people, that's good enough, and you're going to get more bang for your buck getting nicer headphones or nicer speakers. Excuse me, than paying for a HD audio service, I think.
Oh, I agree. Although you might want to do all of them. I think in order to tell the difference between, and this is kind of the point, I interviewed Neil Young a couple of weeks back on our triangulation show. And, he's a big proponent. He's the guy who's really raised the awareness for high-res audio by selling his Pono player. And a lot of people say, well, yeah, Neil's got a dog in this hunt. He's got a $400 player. And some, like David Pogue of Yahoo Tech, have said that's snake oil. Emperor has no clothes. It's the same. You can, if trained, if paying attention, you can tell the difference. But you have to be listening on a very good system, and it takes some experience, and even somebody saying, now listen for this, now listen for that, listen to cymbals, listen to echoes. And so the problem is once you hear it, it's hard to unhear it. The real question isn't whether CD quality is better than MP3 quality. I mean, it really is, and it doesn't take much experience listening to tell the difference. Because the way MP3s and Apple's AACs are made is by tearing little bits of the music out. It's called lossy compression, and it's based on this very interesting psychoacoustic theory that when you're hearing one frequency, I know because I interviewed the guy who invented MP3, Klaus Heinz Brandenburg or something like that. He told me the reason is when you're hearing one frequency, the human ear doesn't hear related frequencies. So if one frequency is dominant, you can eliminate the sound that's on the other frequencies, and that saves you a lot of space. MP3s are typically about 1/10 the size of uncompressed CD audio. And that was great, 10 years ago when we were sending these things over, slow internet connections and storing them on pricey hard drives. But now high speed is here, and we don't have really limits on hard drive space anymore. The hard drives are so cheap. So the question would be, well, is it better? Is there a better format? CD is better. It's uncompressed. So uncompressed is better. And if you're going to take a CD and put it on your hard drive, I do recommend not compressing it, but using something like FLAC or Apple's Lossless to save it. Why not save it in the full CD quality? Why reduce the quality? But then there's the question, this is what you're addressing, of, well, but is CD quality enough? And this is a very hot argument. People invoke something called the Nyquist theorem, saying you can't hear it, it doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. I'll tell you where I come down on this, and it's after reading everything, listening to Neil, who says as high as you can get. I kind of like the idea, if I'm going to buy a new copy of something, of buying it in a quality that is as close as I can get to the original studio master. When it's recorded digitally, it's recorded usually at a higher sample rate than CD. CD's 44,100 samples per second. Studio masters are usually recorded at least at 48, sometimes 96, sometimes as high as 192,000 samples per second. And then the resolution of the sample, you know all this, I'm just telling the folk. So the resolution of the sample on a CD is 16 bits per sample. That means with 16 signed bits, I guess there's 32,000 some choices. And when in studio, most of the time musicians record at 24 bits, which gives you far more resolution on each sample. So high-res music is usually higher bit rate, higher sample rate. But I've come down on the side of, I would like to get the original studio master. Now, when it's an analog, like the Beatles, it's recorded on a reel-to-reel. The recording engineer has to make a decision about what to record it at. And as far as I know, for instance, the Beatles got remastered in 2009 from the original magnetic tapes at 44.1 CD quality sample, 24-bit. And if that's the case, that's probably good enough. Maybe 48, or maybe even some people say, oh, why don't you double CD and make it 88.2? But that's good enough. 24-bit's good enough. And then the point is they don't cost a lot more. You're right. You need to reproduce it properly. But if you're going to buy it, why not buy the same quality? Why buy a reduced quality? That's kind of my philosophy. And you know what? I can't really hear the difference between a CD and my high-res files. I just feel like I want to own kind of like owning the original. Why own a reproduction when you can own the original? But you're right. Most people can't hear it. If you can't hear it, there's no point in doing it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. But guess who's going to talk about it next? Scotty Wilkinson. Meanwhile, I am going to talk about gazelle. That's my sound of a gazelle running free over the veldt. They don't really, I don't think so. That sounds like more like a horse at the Belmont Stakes. But gazelle, I want it for you to see the image in your mind, because Gazelle's the place to go to get a great deal on your used gadgets. What do you do with your used gadgets? You may hand them down. I do a lot of hand-me-downs. I hope you're not throwing them in a drawer. I know a lot of people do. That'd be kind of like throwing $100 bills in the drawer just to gather dust. And then the funny thing is, of course, gadgets lose their value so fast. It'd be like throwing a $100 bill in there and losing $1 every month or something. Instead, you go to Gazelle, GAZELLE.com. You don't even have to sell it to get the quote. Just get a quote and see what it's worth. That quote will be locked in for 30 days. They buy a broad variety of gadgets, iPhones, of course, and iPads, and even broken iPhones and iPads, but also cell phones from BlackBerry and HTC and LG and Motorola and Nokia and Samsung. That's good because I have a lot of those old Samsung devices lying around. Tablets, too, from a variety of manufacturers, even Microsoft Surfaces. If you want to get the new Surface, you could sell your old Surface there. MacBooks, Macintosh computers, Apple TVs. You know, I think a lot of people got quotes for their Apple TV from Gazelle, thinking Apple might announce a new one on Monday. They didn't. But see, that's the beauty part. That's fine. No harm, no foul, because you're locked in for 30 days. Now, when you think they're about to release a new Apple TV, go back and reprice it, because that's a great way. Why just keep it, you know? You go to Gazelle, you're going to get top dollar. They pay the shipping, and they'll even give you more money than they quote if it's worth more. That's happened to me twice now, which is awesome. You might ask, what happens to the best stuff that Gazelle buys? Well, they sell it too. They sell it too. They have a new program where you can buy certified pre-owned gadgets from Gazelle. Certified like new means they're basically brand new. Certified good will show a little signs of wear, but save you a little extra money. But one thing you can be sure of, they all are completely functional. They work perfectly. That's because Gazelle puts them through a very rigorous 30-point inspection to make sure they're fully functional. And you have 30 days for a risk-free return policy. It's a great way to get a replacement gadget. GAZELLE. Sell it, you get paid in cash payments fast. Actually, if you get the Amazon gift card, you get 5% more. Buy it, get a great price on a lightly used gadget. Just write this down. Put this in your mind. Gazelle.com. Not so wrong. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Time to bonk with Mr. Scott Wilkinson, our home theater expert. Scott is the editor-in-chief of the fabulous AVS Forum. He also is a podcaster, and he has a lovely little thing. If I just say so for myself, every Thursday. It's called the Home Theater Geeks Show, and you'll find it on our podcast network, twit.tv. Hello, Scotty.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I'm well. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Always glad to be here.
So, in fact, it was as you were leaving yesterday, the chat room said, oh, "Did you see what happened to Andrew Jones?" I said, "What happened to Andrew Jones?" So, first of all, who is Andrew Jones? That would be the first place to start.
Yeah, Andrew Jones is one of the world's premier speaker designers. And you and I have talked about his speakers on the show, and he's been on my podcast 2 or 3 times at least. He is responsible for a set of speakers from Pioneer of all companies that are so good and yet so inexpensive that they, when anybody asks me what speakers do I get, and my budget is limited, I say get the Pioneer speakers designed by Andrew Jones. Period. End of story.
They're what, like $200-300 something? They're really good deal.
A 5.1 system for like $500.
Yeah. And sounds good because he's. But now,
really,
what is he famous for? What big speaker name?
He worked at KEF, I believe, or Klipsch, KEF or Klipsch, one of those two. I think it was KEF.
Yeah.
He also designed the speakers for a company called TAD, which is actually Pioneer's very high-end speaker line. And those high-end
that they don't mention it's related to Pioneer.
They don't really know.
Right. Pioneer who? Don't know them.
But I mean, for the top of the line TADs, you'd spend like $80,000 a pair. Yeah. It's like ridiculous.
Good stuff.
But then he goes and he applies his considerable knowledge and expertise to building these very inexpensive speakers that perform way above their pay class, way above. So I was shocked to hear a couple months ago that Andrew Jones had left Pioneer, and he went over to a company called ELAC. Now, you might remember ELAC, E-L-A-C, which stands for electroacoustic. It's a German company, and you might remember their turntables from decades ago. They were in this country with turntables, but they haven't been in a long time. They still make speakers for the European market, but they wanted to get back into the U.S. market, and so they hired Andrew Jones to design them some new speakers to bring into the U.S. market in particular, and he's done it again. He has designed probably even better speakers than he did at Pioneer, with a lot of new and interesting things. I'm gonna certainly have him on my home theater.
He not only he quit, he like immediately designed new speakers.
Yeah.
Or do you think he had them like in his basement and he just said, "Hey, ELAC, you can have these"?
Well, that's possible, or he might have just had them in his mind. They gave him, he was just had pictured in his brain.
So what's the name of his new speaker system?
His new speaker is called the Debut line, D-E-B-U-T.
Right on the front page of ELAC's website there.
Oh, yeah. And I heard him for the first time 2 weeks ago at The Show, the home entertainment show in Newport Beach, California. And he played what are called the B5s. B is for bookshelf. The Pioneer speaker line is so complicated in its model number. It's a SP BS dash L. It's a huge long thing. And with ELAC, he just said, you know what? I want to be simple. So B for bookshelf.
Okay.
5 for a 5-inch woofer.
Okay.
There's also a B6 for a 6-inch woofer.
Okay.
There's a floor standing model, which is the F5, which uses several 5-inch woofers, and a C5, a center channel speaker. And the B5s, I think they list they're a little bit more expensive than the Pioneers. And because they are a little more expensive, he was able to use more expensive parts, more expensive machining. He designed a new crossover, which is the circuitry that directs audio frequencies either to the tweeter, which reproduces the high frequencies, or the woofer, which reproduces the mid and low frequencies. The B5 bookshelves are $230 a pair, which is a little bit more than the equivalent Pioneers that he designed. But because of that, he was able to invest more money in quality components and new design. He redesigned the whole speaker driver situation. He showed us that in the front of a speaker, you've got the tweeter, the little 1-inch thing that reproduces high frequencies, and you got this larger cone thing, and it basically put it into a hole in the front of the cabinet. And he designed this driver so that the magnet was so large. He basically made the magnet as large as possible so that it would still fit through that hole. But otherwise, if he could have, he would have made it even bigger still. And the larger the magnet, the stronger the magnetic field is around the part of the speaker that has the audio signal going through it. And so this produces a better sound.
So speakers, if you think there's a battle over high-res music,
which I heard you were just talking about.
Speakers, I mean, they're ultimately very subjective. I mean, you have to go and you sit there and you listen to them, and people go, "Oh, that sounds good," but it's totally subjective, right?
It is. It's
you can measure.
Subjective.
I guess you could measure frequency response, but the truth is, nobody wants a perfect speaker, right?
No. Right, that is correct. There are several things here. One is that manufacturers do measure their speakers, their frequency response, in what's called an anechoic chamber. So there's no echoes. It's a very special kind of room. But that's not normal. That's not what's in it. And manufacturers can't measure what's called the in-room response because everybody's room is different. Exactly.
Yeah.
So they have to basically try and hit some sort of target. And I've been talking about this recently, that studio monitors, the monitors that the engineers use in the studio to record and mix and master, are very flat response. But consumer speakers very often aren't, because manufacturers have learned that people really prefer to have a non-flat speaker. They like to have a little bit of boost in the highs and a little bit of boost in the lows.
That's that loudness thing that you have. Many of us have a button on our Stereo,
Well,
this is loudness.
Well, if you have an old stereo, yes.
I like loudness, but you know that you're boosting both the high and the low, right?
Exactly. So, but that's what people tend to
But
like.
that's subjective, right? That's a matter of taste.
Correct.
And what you like. And of course, you should have what you like. No one's saying you shouldn't have what you like. Have what you like, my friends.
Yes, please have another.
Yeah.
But you know that you have, basically that means you have to go audition. But where do you do that? Brick and mortar stores are disappearing.
Right.
And big box stores certainly don't have a reasonable place to audition speakers.
I'm very seduced by reviewers
Yes.
like you. And I shouldn't be,
Exactly.
because it's their ears, not mine. And
True, but they're experienced and they know how to convey.
they know what to listen for, I guess.
They know what to listen for and how to convey.
So what do
that.
reviewers think about these new ELAC?
Well, we'll find out when they are released in September.
Oh, we can't hear them yet.
You can't buy them.
They
yet.
sound perfect right now, though, I might add. They have never.
They sound amazing.
They sound so good.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem with all of this stuff. You know, I guess the best advice is listen, if it sounds good to you, it sounds good. And,
That's exactly
but
right.
it is true that you can't upgrade your headphones or your speakers. Headphones are not very expensive. And really get a big difference in sound. And then you might say, oh, I thought it sounded good, but now it sounds even better.
That's correct.
That's where guys like Scott Wilkinson can help. AVS Forum, the Home Theater Geeks show, and he joins us each and every week talking hi-fi, big screens, home theater. Thanks, Scott.
You bet.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
All right. So, hey, chat room. Oh, sorry. I got a little frog in my throat. I had a super late gig last night. It started at midnight. It was a Serbian party at a nightclub here in LA, and they wanted us to start at midnight. So, yeah, I've got a little bit of waking up still to do. Casas in the chat room is asking, how do the more recent HDR releases compare to Tomorrowland? Well, we won't know until Inside Out plays next week. The 19th is when it debuts, and it is the next high dynamic range movie to be released. So I'm looking forward to that very much. I think it could be even better than Tomorrowland because it's animated. And so they didn't have to worry about photography or anything like that. The bummer is it's in 3D. And I don't know if any of you might have ever expected me to say that 3D is a bummer. But in terms of the way high dynamic range is being presented to the public in commercial cinemas, it's being presented on laser projectors. And laser projectors use a particular type of 3D called color separation or spectrum separation. Dolby 3D is an example of that. And then that's what the Dolby Vision projectors use, obviously. IMAX uses the same technology, but slightly different, so they can't call it Dolby 3D. The bottom line is, for those of us who wear prescription glasses, the 3D glasses have a very polished, reflective surface on the outside and on the inside of those lenses. And so when you put those on over prescription glasses, you get these internal reflections that go back and forth, and you see them mostly in the periphery of your vision. But for me, it's very distracting. I really hate it. Other people on AVS Forum have said, it's not so bad, I can deal with it. Some of them may not be wearing prescription glasses, and if you don't wear prescription glasses, no problem. No problem. It's only if you wear prescription glasses that this becomes what is, to me, a big problem. So that's unfortunate. I'm going to go see it anyway, of course, because I'm very, very interested in high dynamic range. I think that is the wave of the future. It's in Tomorrowland, exactly. Nightstar has it exactly right. I'd rather have it in 2D for HDR. At least in terms of these color separation glasses, I couldn't agree with you more. So, hey, Sybil, good to see you. It's always great to be here in the chat room. Nightstar, there's a new California soaring using laser projectors. That must be at the California Adventure at Disneyland. I haven't been there in a long time. I love Soaring Over California is the name of the ride, where you're in a gondola and moving around, and they spritz orange scent in when you're over the orange groves. Anyway, that's great. I'm going to have to go down to Disneyland and check that out because I love me the laser projectors. Yep, I see the number there. Thank you. I tend to look into the camera and not at my screen, but now I see I only have 20 seconds left. Thank you, Y Guy. Yes, Mark Boston, there is a list of somewhere that have theaters that have HDR. It's on avsforum.com. Look for my piece on laser projectors around the world.
Thanks, Scott. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number if you have a question about tech. I'd love to answer it. Jerry is on the line from Mission Viejo. Hello, Jerry.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Listen, I can talk to you for hours because I started this business with a color television shop in 1960.
No kidding.
Yeah, I was a tube jockey at that time. I made a lot of money just changing tubes. But anyway,
that's so cool.
Not what I called you about.
Are you still in the business?
Oh no, God, geez, that's been a long time.
There's not a lot of. I don't notice. God. You know, what do people do if their TV breaks? There's nowhere to bring it anymore.
No, there isn't, but it's not as easy as it used to be.
Fix it. Yeah.
But I graduated into computers. I became an IT guy for Amazon Imaging, which made cartridges, and they're out of it. Everybody I worked for went out of business in the computer.
You know, it's kind of like life. You live long enough. Everybody.
Yeah, well, I'm living too long because now I'm becoming obsolete.
Yeah, me too.
But the thing that's really bugging me, this Windows 10 has really got me a little upset, basically because I've got it on two of my computers, testing and playing with it. It's pretty neat. It's a combination of 8 and 7.
Yeah.
And it's got a bunch of extra features. But what really bothers me is discontinuing Media Center, because I use Media Center like a DVR, and it catalogs. I've been waiting for them to finish the Media Center because there's a lot.
Finish it. They haven't worked on it since 2009.
Yeah, I know, and I was hoping
since you were in the color TV repair business. That's okay. So first of all, and I'm just going to tell everybody, Windows 10 is not out yet.
No,
so you're using a pre-release test version. It's open to the public, through the Windows Insider program, but I don't recommend it to anybody who's not, a seasoned computer jockey. However, it's pretty impressive. I think it's a good move. I think it's going to be, I thought Windows 7 was the best version of Windows ever. I thought Windows 8 was kind of like Vista, a little disappointing because Microsoft was smushing two different operating systems, a tablet operating system and a desktop operating system, into one. And they heard the howls of pain, and they did 8.1 and now 10, which solves a lot of those problems. However, one thing that 10 will bring is the disappearance of Windows Media Center. Microsoft says every time this is brought up, but nobody used it.
I use it all the time.
They have, telemetry. They said like 1% of the owners of Windows ever clicked on it, and most of those clicks were by accident, and people quit it immediately. But some of you may remember it. It was the lean back experience. So you'd click it, and your screen would go whoo, and it would become big and simple. And it was great for recording stuff. If you had the right hardware, you could use it as a DVR. You could use it as a media center. But Microsoft wants you to buy an Xbox One.
I can't. But the thing is, I can't find anything to replace it. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's Microsoft says. Now, whether they'll do this soon enough to satisfy other people, Windows Media Center users on Windows, they say, well, we are going to give you DVR capability in Windows 10 on Xbox. But when is that going to be? I don't know.
But that doesn't say that you'll be able to go to different channels.
Well, yeah, I think the idea is that they'll have, in fact, I think they'll have to have a cable card slot. Not a redesigned Xbox One, maybe a little dongle that comes off of it with a cable card slot. And they'll have to have, because you have to have a way to plug your cable into it. And then you'll have, just as you do right now with your Windows Media Center, I presume.
Yeah, I got a cable card plugged in back to a Seaton card.
Yeah, you bought some hardware to add to your PC, and then you run the Windows Media Center. There are other solutions. I don't think anything does exactly what Windows Media Center does. This is a common question now.
Yeah, I've been looking all over the internet, and they got confusing programs out
we used
there.
to remember we used to recommend Myth TV. There used to be a number of DVR solutions for Windows. I think they're all gone too. And things like Plex really aren't, they're media centers, but they're not designed for recording shows, which is what people want. So you almost have to buy some other solution like HD Home Run.
Maybe you knew what the solution was, because nothing out there I could find. I looked all over the internet.
Yeah, I don't think Kodi or XBMC's new name is Kodi. I don't think Kodi or Plex do that kind of DVR stuff. The Silicon Dusk makes this thing called the HD Home Run, which does. Even does it with analog antennas, or rather over-the-air antennas. They're not analog anymore. So I would look at the Home Run. You can get a TiVo. I know that feels like a step back, doesn't it? But but the TiVo is they're still in business. That's what I use, and I do believe that Microsoft plans. Well, it's hard to say what Microsoft plans. I mean, one of the reasons they killed it, they say, is because nobody used it. So if that's, I know.
There's a better way of cataloging everything. It was just
your computer's smarter than a set-top box from a PC from a cable company, or even from a TiVo. But I would look at the HD Home Run. It's a cable card box, not very expensive. It lets you. It becomes your set-top box. It works with Windows 7 Media Center, but of course, you're going to have to use some other apps instead of that as time goes by. But when Microsoft said this, they also pointed out we haven't updated it since literally 6 years, since 2009.
Yeah, I know. I figured maybe one of these days they'll finish the design on it.
No, they gave up on it. 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So the HD Home Run is $150. Now I know it's annoying to have to buy additional hardware, but it's going to be that's probably or the Channel Master DVR for over the air. Is it over the air or cable? I guess it's cable because you have a cable card, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to get the HD Home Run Prime. It's $150 on Amazon. You could take your cable card out of your Seton card or whatever and put it into your HD Home Run Prime. And then you'll somehow have to, it doesn't have any storage, I don't think. You have to use it to then communicate with a computer.
What bothers me is I don't know what we're all going digital at Cox, and you got a
I know.
mini box.
You need a mini Cox.
Yeah, mini box.
A mini box. Okay, they wouldn't call it mini Cox. That wouldn't sell well. I think that the Myth TV that I mentioned is still around and does work with the HD Home Run. Well, the chat room's talking about this as well, and they do like the HD Home Run. What software do you use with your HD Home Run Prime to record? That's the question, because
I just use a media center.
Yeah, no, I know, but you need to replace it. So I'm asking the chat room what they recommend.
Yeah.
It's you know what? You're not the only one. There's about 1,000 of you who are really upset.
Very upset.
No, it's more than that. It's more than that. I know. And you know what this does, which is what really which is going to be the good news for you. When Microsoft's in a business, they clobber all the other guys. Who's going to do an iTunes when Apple has iTunes, right? Who's going to do a media center when it comes with Windows? But now it doesn't. So I hope, especially in this world of cord cutting, that there will be a lot of people doing something like this. The problem is that most of us, for instance, I have a TiVo and I record shows, but almost everything's on demand. You can always go to the cable company's on demand site and see it then. And I just find it easier to record it. And the TiVo has some nice features because it records what they call suggestions, most of which are shows I don't know why they're in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. But anyway, they erase them when I don't watch them. So I use a TiVo for this. And I expect that Microsoft, they've done this in Europe, will announce a product in the U.S. that will allow you to record shows on your Xbox One. But mostly people now are streaming, That's kind of the way of the world. I think this is partly in response to the television industry, which didn't really want people to record shows. They were afraid you'd steal them. So it made it harder and harder and harder. I wrote a whole book on the first-generation TiVo and how to take the files you'd recorded on your first-generation TiVo and burn them to a DVD so you could, just store them. They didn't like that. They were afraid people were going to sell them. So I think what's happening, frankly, is the influence of the television, the movie industry, who are deathly afraid of piracy on these companies. They just, they don't want to get involved. And since apparently, according to Microsoft, very few people used Windows Media Center, no harm done. I do think Windows 10 is going to be a good upgrade. We'll see it at the end of July 29th. Isn't that what they said? And it will be free to anybody using a legitimate copy of Windows 7 or 8 or 8.1. And I imagine many of you will want to upgrade, although my advice would be wait. Give it a week or two. See if there's anything really horrible. But given the widespread public beta, I think it's probably likely to be very good. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. More calls right after this. Nice thing about Myth, I know it's a Linux solution, but it's a distro, so it's not like it's really. I think at least last time I tried it, you don't have to get into Linux to use Myth. You just install it on something. He could take his existing PC, put Myth on it, use the HD home run, and he'd probably have a solution that is even more capable than his existing Windows Media Center, right? Scott Wilkinson, home theater guru, the man of the hour. This is for you, my friend.
Why, thank you so very much. Mark Boston in the chat room is saying something very interesting that's puzzling me, which is that he's started to get more headaches from 3D lately. And have there been any changes in the way 3D movies have been made? Not that I know of. And to make it more puzzling, he doesn't get a headache from 3D on his Samsung, I think it's probably HU8000, might be H8000, only in the cinema. And so I said to myself, well, and I wrote in the chat room, that could be because the TV uses active glasses. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure now that I'm saying it. There may be something about I don't think Samsung went to passive glasses, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Mike Heist is in the chat room. He might know. Anyway, if that's true, then the TV is using active glasses while the cinema is using passive glasses. In the case of laser projectors, as I was talking about before, there are these color separation glasses, which have a real problem with prescription glasses. But in most cases, RealD, older IMAX theaters that don't have laser projectors, which at this point is most of them, use polarized passive glasses. And those have traditionally, interestingly, the active glasses have been more problematic. They've been the ones that have caused more symptoms because they actually open and close a bunch of times per second. And some people complain about seeing a flickering effect. I don't, but a lot of people do, and it's an individual perceptive thing. But that would seem to me to be more likely to produce physiological problems than the passive glasses. But Mark Boston says, no, it's the other way around. And apparently only lately. So that's a real head-scratcher to me. I don't really understand. Kaz was saying I should update the my piece about Tomorrowland, because somebody in that thread mentioned that San Andreas was in HDR, this new earthquake movie with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And I don't think so. I mean, I would have heard of it if it had been, so I don't think it is. With one caveat. I know that San Andreas is playing in IMAX, and it is playing here in LA at the IMAX TCL Chinese Theater, which has laser projectors. And those laser projectors do produce a higher peak brightness, 22 foot Lamberts as opposed to 14 in a regular digital cinema. It would also be in a film cinema, but there are very few of those anymore. So my question to IMAX, and I haven't gotten a response or an answer to this yet, is when they get a DCP, the digital cinema package, the file on a hard drive that contains the movie, when they create the DCP for IMAX laser projectors, do they grade it or prepare it or master it in high dynamic range. In other words, to be able to use that 22-foot Lambert's peak brightness and also the lower black levels, which the laser projectors, the IMAX laser projectors, are absolutely capable of doing. And if that's the case, then an argument could easily be made that any movie that is played in an IMAX laser projector theater would be high dynamic range, HDR. And this is something I've been thinking about lately, and I really need to contact IMAX about, because it could open up a larger number of movies to high dynamic range. Tomorrowland was the first Dolby Vision high dynamic range movie to be shown, and the next one is coming up next week. June 19th is the opening of the Pixar movie Inside Out, which, as I talked about earlier, is the next one that's true high dynamic range. So anyway, that is the scoop there. I've got 224 seconds remaining. Nightstar says Soaring over California uses 4K laser projectors. And yes, there is an S on that. Probably use 2 or maybe more. Since it's such a huge screen, they might stitch together a bunch of projector images. That may very well be. And if they're Christie's, then they may very well be high dynamic range. Wouldn't that be something? Soaring over California in high dynamic range. Wow. Me asks, did I review San Andreas? No, I didn't go see it. Although to tell you the truth, I might, because of this high dynamic range thing. Otherwise, I'm really not interested in watching Los Angeles and all of California fall into the sea. Thank you very much. It would be too close to home. If that were to happen real, then I would not want to be there when that happened. Let's see. Jason Dog says loves his Samsung Active 3D. I know they used to be exclusively active. I think they probably still are. Bacon Strip is watching this in 3D on his monitor right now. Well, pseudo 3D. Yeah, it's definitely pseudo 3D. I don't have 2 cameras here shooting me at slightly different angles. Dr. T asks, don't movie theaters play around with bulb intensity brightness to make the bulb last longer? Maybe they're doing something similar. I suppose that's possible. They certainly want the bulb to last as long as possible because, man, oh man, those are expensive. Many, in the case of digital cinema, maybe even $1,000 or $2,000 every time they do it, and that's every few hundred hours, which is one reason why laser projectors are so cool and so desired by theater owners, because it completely eliminates that ongoing cost. Now, to buy the laser projector in the first place is a large upfront cost, but you know, in the long run, it's definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. Hey, the Sue the Writer, glad to see you're in the chat room. Roscoe, the San Andreas Fault doesn't work like that. Doesn't work that way, so no worries about that. I kind of figured as much. It's, you know, it's another end of the world movie. There are so many of them. Lumpy asks, why can't TV manufacturers add cable card slots or cable card adapters? Pretty good idea. I don't know why they don't do that. They probably have to make deals with the cable companies, and they probably don't want to do that. Mark Boston says, Beatmaster might have solved the problem, the mystery. I was sitting closer to the screen the last few times I saw a 3D movie. That may very well be it. That's a great thing to suggest, Beatmaster. That's really good. That's probably where you are. You were probably sitting too close. I definitely don't like to sit too close, so I have not had that problem. Mike Heiss says they're almost certain they're still active glasses in the Samsung 3D sets. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I'm suspecting as well. So, yeah. Let's see. Got any other questions in the next 25 seconds? Probably not. Hope you all have a wonderful Saturday. And I think I'm going to take a nap.
Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte, the tech guy here. Time to talk computers and the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo's the number. 888-827-5536, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. I'm curious what you think. If you have an opinion on Apple Music, it's, you know, it's the kind of thing we geeks, I guess we just don't have very interesting lives. So we have to talk about stuff like this kind of endlessly, debate it back and forth. Well, what do you think? Is there a chance? Is Apple going to do okay against Spotify? What does this mean for iTunes? What is iTunes music business going to do? Is it, you know, and on and on and on. And I think most people just are, you tell me, it's like aren't even aware. Like, oh, I'm watching the NBA Finals because a little team I like to think of as my Golden State Warriors are in it. And every few minutes there's an ad for Apple Music. Did you see? I'm wondering if Heather, if you saw those. No. See, I think most people, I bet if you watched the game, did you see Apple Music ads? Maybe you did. But it was a beautiful ad. Apple's so soft sell. It was basically a minute of kind of the history of recorded music. So it started back with, where did it start? Like a gramophone, and then it kind of moved its way through 8-track tapes and boom boxes and reel-to-reels and records and, you know, iTunes and iPod. And then it kind of what it looked like. I mean, it wasn't, you couldn't tell what it looked like. Just people were listening to music on their mobile device like we do. And then that's it. And then it has the end of it says Apple Music, like a little Apple logo, music. And I thought no one who doesn't pay obsessive attention to the tech news as I do, and maybe some of you do, probably has any idea that that is even a new product. What is Apple advertising there? Well, yeah, I listen to music. I buy it at iTunes. I listen on my iPhone. I don't know. Is there something different I should know about? People don't even think that. They go, yeah, Apple Music, like that. Maybe in next week they'll explain more. I don't. You know they're going to spend $100 million. Easy. I'm not kidding. At least promoting this service. This service needs to succeed for them. First of all, they spent more than $3 billion for it. Yeah, they bought Beats, they bought a headphone business and this, but I don't think the headphone business is really the reason they bought it. They wanted something, a next act for iTunes. Because iTunes is so dominant, you know, they are the #1 music retailer, period. Basically put every record store out of business. Most people buy music, when they buy music, on iTunes. The problem is fewer and fewer people are buying music. They're renting it. They're subscribing to Spotify and Pandora. Those are the big two. And then a bunch of other services, Deezer and Tidal and RDO and Rhapsody. And that's how most people listen to music. I don't know about you. You tell me. Most young people don't even do that. They watch YouTube. They get their music from YouTube. Amazon has a service. Google has a service. Microsoft has a service. Everybody's got what they call streaming music service, where you can listen to any album. They've got 30 million songs. You can listen to almost any album as long as it's not the Beatles, because they're the last holdouts. A new album comes out from your favorite group, even Taylor Swift. Except for Spotify. That was the only, she held out on Spotify, but everybody else had her latest album. Or the Rolling Stones or whoever. When they come out with a new album, you don't have to buy it. You already have it because you subscribe to these services. And as long as you pay the $10 a month each and every month, you can continue to listen to any of their songs. And the music industry, by the way, bought this deal way back when. They said it actually started with Rhapsody. Nobody knew. Rhapsody wanted to create a streaming music service. I know because there's a friend of mine, Rob Reed, who was the founder of this. He went out to the music industry and said, look, this was back when Napster was killing them. Piracy's killing. You're not getting any money for your digital downloads. What if we charged every customer $10 a month, distributed among you based on plays? That would be like getting everybody who's currently stealing music to pay to buy a CD a month. The music industry did the math, and they said, that's good. We'll take it. Rob told me that we didn't know what to charge for that, but we made up $10 a month, and that's what it still is to this day. $10 a month. That's what Apple's going to charge, what everybody charges, $10 a month. Then the music industry felt like maybe it wasn't the best deal they could make, but it was better than getting nothing. Lately, artists particularly complain about this. They say, we're not making enough money. And Taylor Swift, she pulled off Spotify not because she wasn't willing to have it on the paid tier, her new album, 1989, on the paid tier, but she didn't want to have it on the free tier. And Spotify said it's all or nothing. So she said, well, then it's nothing. And meanwhile, Spotify went on to grow to 75 million users, 25 million of whom pay $10 a month. Do the math. That's a lot of millions every month. And they say they've paid out $3 billion to the music industry. Maybe those artists, I think the message to the artists from both Spotify and Pandora is maybe you ought to ask your label where the money we paid them went. If you're not getting any money, maybe you might want to ask your record company what they did with it. In any event, the world is changing. Apple has to change with the times. They bought Beats. And this, frankly, I think this has to work for them because they're seeing rapid decline, 14% last year in music sales. 14% because of these streaming music services. And what they're really worried about is not me, maybe not you. They're worried about people under 25. Those are the people who are forming their habits now, choosing the artists they're going to listen to for the rest of their life now. And they need to get those people listening. And that's why you'll note all the Apple Music advertising and positioning is for young people. They didn't, in their announcement, they didn't mention classical music. I didn't hear any Broadway show tunes. No. It's for young people because they need to get them now used to it so that they have a whole new generation of customers. And I think there's some, I look at my kids, 20 and 23. I tried to get them to subscribe to Beats or Spotify. I said, we can get a family plan. No interest. They got YouTube. And the music industry is complicit in this. I mean, they put every new music video up on YouTube, and that's how my kids listen. Bet you that's how a lot of people under 25 listen. I don't know what the solution is there for that. So I'm curious what you think. First of all, did you even know that Apple's launching a new music service? If you have an iOS device, you will get an icon on your desktop when the next version of iOS comes out, 8.4. That's at the end of the month. And you will see that new Beats icon. It won't be Beats, though. It will be Apple Music icon. I think iTunes is still here. I don't think it's going away. Funny thing, Apple's selling this. One of the big selling points is this. They have a radio station. Wow. They said 24-hour, 7-day-a-week radio station, global radio station called Beats One. This is the innovation? I think there are I think I might be wrong. There are other things called radio stations. Most of them 24/7. All of them on the internet global. Last time I checked, TuneIn Radio has 100,000 stations. iHeartRadio has tens of thousands, maybe more. But I'm glad Apple has a radio station now. Boy, if that's they're going to have to come up with something more than that, I think. 3 months free. That's good. So I suspect that the 100 million people who use iPhones will try it, and maybe even for 3 months. The question is, will they buy it? And that's what we'll be watching with interest. 8888 Ask Leo. So when you see that ad on the NBA playoffs, that's an ad for something new. Who knew? We'll talk more on the phones. Let me know. Do you use it? Do you like it? And any other tech questions. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 bum. Do. Oh, hey, let me show you my doorbell. I love this. Well, it's not just any doorbell. It is a Ring doorbell. This is where you really get, innovation really can make a difference. This doorbell replaced my existing front door doorbell. And you might say, well, Leo, who cares? I mean, nobody talks about their doorbell. Well, maybe when you get the Ring Video doorbell, you'll care. So you could do it two ways. It does have a battery, a year battery, lithium-ion battery. You could charge via USB. Very easy to pop it off, charge it, pop it back on using a proprietary tool so thieves can't do the same. But I have, the regular wired doorbell, 2 wires. Couldn't have been easier to install it. In fact, they even give you everything you need. Everything you need. screws, drill bits, screw bits, a special screwdriver, even a level so that it comes out nice. Let me show you. Then you put the app on your Android or your iOS phone, and when somebody rings your doorbell, you get a nice little chime on my phone. My watch even chimes. And you can see, by the way, it has a motion detector too. So you can see if somebody's just moving out front. This is the ultimate in security. I just love this. You can set the motion settings so you can see, you know, how big a range. I was having it watch everything. Anytime a cat went by, I would get a notification. So I've moved it in a little bit, the motion range. You can control, you can have multiple doorbells too, which is great. And I can even see recent activity. Motion, but also doorbell rings. In fact, if somebody rings the doorbell, watch this, I can actually talk to them. Let me open my doorbell here. And I forgot how I do that. Do I just tap it? Oh no, this is a playback. This is some motion outside our front door. Let's see. It's a great wide-angle camera. Gives you really good view. Yeah, see, this was when I had it set too sensitive. There's some cat or something goes by. So you completely control that. But it's so cool. When the doorbell rings, I can actually talk to the UPS guy. Say, hey, just leave it there. I'll be right there. I want you to check it out. Ring.com. In fact, if you go to ring.com/techguy, you're going to get $25 off. That means $174. That's a good deal. And by the way, you can talk to them and they can talk to you. See, it looks like that. I have to figure out what button to press. Or maybe I should just have somebody ring the doorbell during the commercial. Honey, can you go home and ring the doorbell? You could talk to them. The sound quality is great. You can hear them. They can hear you. You could talk to them. In fact, you know, sometimes I don't hear the doorbell ring when I'm home. But now with this, it's on I put it on my tablets, on my phone, everywhere. So now when the doorbell rings, I know. And I can respond. I don't even have to get off the treadmill. I could just say, hey, how you doing? I'll be right with you. Ring.com/techguy. I am a big fan. Every time I show somebody this at our house, they say, where can I get one? I tell them, ring.com/techguy. It's a better doorbell, thanks to science. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Greg is on the line from beautiful Dillon Beach. Whenever I love Dillon Beach. We were just there the other day with the dog. Hey, Greg.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I'm well.
Hey, I got two questions and one comment. The first question is a little involved. Second one's a simple yes or no, probably. And the comment I'll surprise you with later. But my main question is I have router paranoia at this point. And
you ought to, because these days, these routers, they seem to be huge security flaws with every single one of them.
Yeah, well, what do I do? I mean, money's not such a big object, say up to $500 or something.
Oh, no, you don't need to spend that much. So
tell me what to do, please.
There's a couple of things. So first of all, let's explain that what happens with the bad guys is they look for soft targets, right? Their goal is to get into your computer. Secondarily, to use your computer to attack other computers. Mm-hmm. And they look for soft targets. Well, Windows used to be a soft target, but Microsoft's gotten so good at patching and updating, and people have become so careful about doing that, thanks to multiple warnings from me and everybody else, that that's not easy anymore. You don't see a lot of Windows exploits anymore. Then they went after the browser. People don't update their browser, and then Microsoft and everybody else, Google and Firefox, all updated browsers automatically. Okay, no longer a soft target. How about the stuff the browser launches, like Flash or PDF files? But Adobe's gotten good about updating Reader and Flash. So they keep looking, they keep looking. Lately, you see probably that Skype and Apple's messages were attacked using a malformed string, just sending a text message. That's bad. By the way, Microsoft fixed Skype in a day. Apple says, we're going to fix it later this month. But the latest is routers, because routers are cheap consumer products. $40 most people pay for their Linksys router. These companies don't keep this stuff up to date. There have been many security flaws all along the way. On Christmas Day this past year, a group of teenage hackers called the Lizard Squad took Microsoft's Xbox network and PlayStation's network down with DDoS attacks via routers. They were down all day because they took advantage of a flaw, and there were so many routers with this flaw, millions, that they were able to take those two sites down. The latest one is called Bad USB. and a router that has a USB port for an external drive, many of them were written, or the code was, they used code that was poorly written and flawed. And even if you don't have a drive attached to that port, it means your router is vulnerable to the outside. So we've talked about securing a router, but really the best way to protect yourself, in many cases the only way, is to get a new router. And if you're going to get a new router, my suggestion is either getting an Apple router. For some reason, Apple doesn't seem to be a target again. They are more expensive. Maybe there's just fewer of them out there. Why attack them? They also don't use a lot of the technologies that these other routers use, like WPS, that one-button thing. And they also write their own code, and they seem to keep it up to date. I get updates for my Apple router. I've never in my life seen an automatic update for any other router. The other way to go is with a company who supports, or wittingly or unwittingly, third-party. There's good open-source router software that is kept up to date, like OpenWRT and Tomato. That's another one. And so what you could do is go to openwrt.org and look and see which routers they work with. ASUS is the only router company I know. Maybe Buffalo's doing this now too, but ASUS did a really cool thing. They said, look, we understand this is a problem. And like all other router companies, we find it hard to keep these cheap consumer devices up to date. So what we're going to do is make sure that our routers support third-party router software called DDWRT, which is related to OpenWRT. So they have their own firmware, but you can put open firmware on there as well. And these are actually quite good routers. So I guess if you're not going to get an Apple router, the other choice would be to get one of these ASUS routers with DDWRT firmware support.
An Apple router will support, you know, we have a whole Windows network.
Yeah, the problem, yeah, you probably should get the ASUS. The real problem with the Apple routers, they absolutely will work with any kind of machine, but configuration is easiest with Apple, with using an Apple product. So get the, get the ASUS. Get the ASUS.
Okay, will do. And then to update the firmware.
Basically, you download it onto the router and you press a button that says update.
Okay, so you log into the router and then...
Yeah, if you get the ASUS because it supports it. Otherwise, you put it on your PC and you write it to the router. It's not complicated. You could find out more by going to the Tomato router page or the... we'll put links in the show notes, techguylabs.com.
Okay.
Or OpenWRT.
That's a question one. Question two is simple. I have a bunch of computers that are all valid, but I got a gift of a small PC that has an invalid install of Windows.
Yeah.
7. And do you know right now if when the Windows 10 upgrade comes, if it's going to upgrade invalid or not?
Yeah, it'll upgrade it, but it won't make it valid. There was a little confusion because briefly Microsoft said we'll even update non-genuine Windows, and that's true.
Right.
But it won't make it genuine, so you'll still get the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you still get the warning, and it'll stop working.
I want to get out of your way time-wise, but I said two questions as a comment. My comment is. Those white suspenders you're wearing today are just a little bit.
That's a shirt, my friend. I am wearing suspenders under the shirt. I don't know. This is probably not considered good sartorial form, but what the heck?
Well, you're a GQ guy, in my opinion. So thanks, and have a good rest.
Hey, nice to talk to you, Greg. I appreciate it. You might wonder, how does he know what I'm wearing? I'm on the radio. I don't know. It's magic. No, we do at our website, we do a live video stream of us making the show, kind of a behind-the-scenes stream of us making the show. And some people have found it amusing to watch. That's at twitch.tv. We're doing our new website. Wow. I have learned so much about web design and everything over the last 6 months. And I'm also a little lighter in the wallet. But I'm very excited. The new website will launch this Thursday. Not for the Tech Guy site. That's going to stay the same, techguylabs.com. But the podcast network, it's probably a little more technical than I need to talk about on the radio. But it's interesting. we realized that most of our web visitors at twit.tv did not come in on desktop computers. They came in on mobile devices and tablets. So we've really had to rethink what the web does and what it's for. And increasingly, because we're a podcast network, people listen on their mobile device. So we really had to change everything we knew about the World Wide Web. And I think that's not unusual. I think more and more we're starting to see this. But I'll let you know if you go, I think day after tomorrow, maybe Tuesday. I think Tuesday we're going to launch it, and you can go to twit.tv and see it. The old site's there. You can see why we wanted a new site if you go to the old site now. Wow. And you really want to have some fun, go to the old site on a mobile device, and you'll see why we had to make a new site. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. I'll talk more about tech, answer your questions. We're having a good time, I think. I hope you are too on this beautiful June day. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. There he is, Johnny Jet, the travel guru. Johnny joins us each week to talk about travel apps, travel sites. He's in a kitchen. He's in, it looks like a Swedish kitchen. Are you in Sweden? Where are you?
It's my wife's kitchen.
Oh, I could tell it was a cook. She's got a lovely microwave and a KitchenAid. That's all you need. How you doing, Johnny?
Good. How you doing?
You're in Toronto?
No, actually, I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, has your wife moved in with you?
Not quite, but she's almost. She's on a plane right now from Toronto.
It's her kitchen. When she gets there? Is that it? It's done?
No. We got some more time.
People might wonder.
It's complicated.
Johnny's very old-fashioned. He doesn't like to live with his wife until they've been married for some years. No. She's in Toronto. She's Canadian.
Yeah, she didn't want to move, first of all. And I was never going to take her away from her family. And so I was like, hey, I'm fine commuting. So I go every couple weeks. She comes here, and we get a lot of miles, and we see each other overseas every month.
You travel so much, it's not like you're home that often. How many days a year did you spend at home last year? Do you know?
Wasn't a lot. I think I was gone 85% of the time.
Yeah, that's why you're Johnny Jet.
It's what I do.
That's what he does. So what do you want to share with us from your?
So I have a website and an app for you, obviously. So my first one is called cleverlayover.com.
I hate layovers.
So this was created just a month ago, or in late April, by Harvard Business School students.
Wow. Well, that means
what these guys
hack travel. It says. I like that.
So this is to save some money. So what they do is they will find cheaper fares by connecting you to non-partner airlines.
See, a lot of times if you go to get a ticket from Delta, you figure the whole thing you're just going to get it from Delta would be the cheapest way to do it. That's not always true.
Or even with the third-party travel websites, the same thing. The online travel agents, the same way. They're going to connect you with partners and things like that.
So, but this isn't something the airlines dislike, like your weird little open jaw thing that you do.
No.
Airlines don't mind this.
They actually probably like it because if you miss your connection, you have to buy a whole new ticket.
Oh, so there's the downside.
That's the downside. So the airlines are not obligated to buy. Right. If you miss your flight or it's delayed, the next one. So always leave plenty of room in between.
If you're going to do a clever layover, Yeah,
so you can type in SFO to OLB, Sardinia, Costa Smeralda, because I did this once, and I did it from New York, and I was looking for a last-minute ticket. Just put in the dates that they're there now.
Yeah, let's go.
It will pop open Expedia, Priceline, and their search.
Okay, Priceline's got nothing.
Just close out of Priceline and just look at Expedia.
Yeah, okay.
So Expedia's was 15.
You broke the site. Clever layover is not that clever. It says, please try again later. We're experiencing high traffic.
Wow, that was quick.
Johnny, you're a site killer. You're a site killer, my friend.
I was done it a minute ago.
Yeah, no. That's what I should always warn people. When you hear us talk about a site, don't wait a bit.
Okay, so anyway, it was $1,500 on Expedia, and it was $1,100 on theirs.
Oh. So that's $400 savings.
And they say the average user saves $200. But again, you got to keep in mind, is it worth it? Because sometimes you're going to go on low fare carriers, which means you need to pack light because they will get you on all the other stuff. Like
Spirit was like, if you don't book, you have to pay for your carry-on if you don't tell them ahead of time. It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I don't fly Spirit.
Yeah. Well.
But they make money. They make money.
Spirit's cheap if you know how to work it. You have to work it.
They also get the most complaints out of any airline in the U.S.
And they don't care.
They don't care. They actually like.
Yeah. So that's cleverlayover.com, and just don't use it right away. Let the server cool off a little bit before you head over there.
Again,
it overheated.
And especially on international trips, you got to make sure if you need a visa, because they will not tell you that.
Oh yeah, they don't know.
So,
but you can go to the U.S. Department of State website. In fact, that's a good idea if you're traveling internationally anywhere. You know, we're going, as you know, at the end of the month, we're going on a cruise to 4 countries, a river cruise to Holland, Germany, Austria, and Hungary. And I thought, well, I probably should check just in case to make sure I don't need a visa. I didn't, but it's good to check, and you can do that easily and quickly on the State Department site.
But you also need to make sure that your passport is valid for at least 6 months.
I did, and I wasn't, and I got a new one.
Okay, that's good, because that happens all the time.
Why is that? In case you get stuck? Like you get sick?
Sick or whatever, and they don't want to be responsible for you.
Right.
So always read, because even some countries might be a year, and some are 3 months, so it all depends.
I renewed mine. I got 10 more years. I can go anywhere for 9.
And I hope you packed the extra pages you asked for.
I did.
Pages.
I got double pages. Because last time I had to send it in and get more pages. I liked that. That made me feel good. I thought, I'm a traveler.
But they're going to stop allowing that now.
What?
I think in October they're going to stop allowing extra pages.
But what?
So you won't be able to send in your passport and say, hey, I need more pages. You're going to have to buy a whole new passport.
Get a new one. Okay.
Yeah. Which they do in Canada, which I think is a racket.
Yeah.
But they've been doing that for a while in Canada.
I like the extra pages. Now I have an old passport that has like the history of my travels for the last 10 years, China and Turkey and all over the place. It's fun. I bet your passport. Well, I bet you fill up your pages fast.
Well, I do have a pretty thick passport. But what I love is that when you get a new one, they'll give you back your old one.
Yes, with a hole punched in it, but that's okay.
Yeah, but I always scan my passport every page just for those stamps, just in case they don't send it back. Because one time they did not.
Yes.
And I love seeing the stamps.
I'm gonna print them and put them on the wall. I've been everywhere, man. So you got an app? You got an app for us, sir?
It is. It's Adioso. Adioso.
Adioso.
That website. It's actually been around for a bit, but it's perfect for people who have no idea where they want to go, or when they want to go.
I don't know where I want to go.
Before you put anything down, scroll down in that list right there.
Yeah.
And towards the bottom, it will say, top 10 beaches,
my friends,
marathons.
international friends, 7 marathons. Wow. 10 best waterfalls in the world. I want to go to a waterfall. Let's do it in August when it's really hot. And I'm going to go through for 2 weeks, waterfalling. And it's just going to find me from Oakland. Well, let's not do Oakland. Let's do SF. Oh, it only wants Oakland. Why does it think I'm in Oakland, huh? I'll make it SFO. There we go. And then let's see, best waterfalls. So it's going to find me all the best Ooh, Niagara Falls, Iguazu Falls. I've been there. Yosemite Falls, been there. Yep. Look at this. The Hoganakal Falls in Bengaluru, India. The Rhine Falls in Zurich. This is great. And
and for marathons, if you want to do a marathon, or friends, if you hit my friends, it would ask you to put your Facebook information in there.
Oh, I'll do that.
Connect it up.
I'm going to do that. See where my friends are going.
No. So you can go see your friends.
I'll see where my friends are.
No, where you're going to go
I know,
visit
I'm teasing you.
Okay. I'm sitting there going, am I on the Twilight Zone right now?
I'm teasing you. No, I'm just teasing you now. Johnny Jet, that's where you should go. JohnnyJet.com. He's got a great website with lots of good articles about his travels. He travels all over the world and reports back, so you know what the best deals are, the best experiences, gives you great ideas. And if you sign up for his newsletter, you'll get some inspiration in your email
Especially
box.
the deals newsletter. Just today.
Yeah.
LA to Bangkok, $5.99 round trip on China Airlines.
One night in Bangkok is like a year in any other place. That's what I hear. I've never been. I've always wanted to go. So,
you've never been to Bangkok?
No, I got a lot of traveling to do, Johnny. In fact,
come on,
let's get out of here.
Show on the road.
I'm taking the show.
Every week we should go somewhere else.
Oh, in my dreams.
Or at least once a month.
In my dream. Don't ever start a business. You'll never go anywhere. Unless your business is travel. JohnnyJet.com. Thank you, Johnny. We'll see you on the Twitter at JohnnyJet or on Instagram at JohnnyJet. And have safe travels. Are you going anywhere this week?
No, I'm staying in. I'm going to see you on Friday.
Oh, that's right. We're having lunch.
That's right.
Going down to Los Angeles to do the Nerdist podcast. And then you and I are going to drive and meet in our silver cars. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's going to be fun. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Aurelia is on the line from Riverside. Hi, Aurelia.
Yes, Leo. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for hanging on for so long.
Oh, my gosh. It's almost 2 hours and almost forgot what I want to ask you.
Well, the whole idea is that you fix the problem before I get you on the air. But that didn't work, huh?
But it's still coming up on my cell phone from the message. And I tried to go back there and it showed me it's off. So
showed you what's off. What you know? What let's start fresh. What's your problem?
Okay. Right now, I have a problem. I have I'm trying to unplug the plugs in, and I don't know how to do it.
You're trying to unblock flash, I think is what you said, right?
Plugs.
Plugs?
Yeah, plugs in. It says plugs-in.
Oh, plugins, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because you've gone to a site that uses, and by the way, this happens on mobile sometimes because your smartphone may not support that plugin. If the plugin is
I'm on my laptop right now.
Oh, okay, you're on your laptop. And what is the site you're going to?
Facebook, and I also go in the adult friend finder, and I can now watch any cameras, nothing there. But I said, okay, just give it up on this. But on Facebook, when I'm trying to play High Five Casino, he's not letting me because the plug-in is blocked.
The plug-in is blocked. Probably not a safe plug-in. That's why it's blocked.
And I'm trying to
Don't try to unplug it. That's good. You don't want to do it if it's blocked. So here's the deal. Plug-ins are dangerous. Dangerous.
Really?
Yes. So it depends what the plug-in is. So we were talking during that 2 hours you were on hold, you poor person. I'm so sorry. During the 2 hours you're on hold, you might have heard us talking a little bit about how bad guys attack soft targets, things that are easy to attack. And what they have, of late were attacking is things like Flash, things that run when you go to a website in your browser. The browser looks at it and says, oh, I can't do this. I need a plugin. I need an additional piece of software so that I can do this, playback video or show an animation or a variety of things. The problem is that plugin is often a security flaw, a security problem. Now, what you need to understand is what the plugin is. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound like your browser is telling you.
No, it doesn't tell me.
Yeah. And when is it video usually the thing you're trying to look at? Is it you think it's video?
Yeah. And also, it used to be unplugged, and I used to play the game.
Yeah, that's Shockwave probably, or Java. In all these cases, these are dangerous. And if you don't have an up-to-date version of it, you could get in trouble. So are you pretty careful? Do you keep your computer up to date?
Well, for some reason, for a while, I keep doing the update. It says always it's up to date, and it hasn't updated from a long time.
That's not a good sign. Microsoft puts out. You're using Windows, I take it.
No, I use Safari.
Oh, you're on a Mac. Good.
Yes.
Good. So one thing Apple does not do is put Java or Flash on the computer for this reason. Not that they're not safe. You could use them. So what you need to do probably, it's interesting, Safari's blocking it. Safari tries really hard to make it safe. You might try, if it's Flash, it'll work in Google Chrome because Chrome comes with Flash built in. So one thing you might do, Aurelia, is download Google Chrome. It's free from Google, google.com/Chrome. You can open Safari and do it. That'll play back Flash. If the thing you want is Java, that's a little more complicated on a Mac. Apple decided not to ship Java with a Mac. So you actually have to go and install Java and run it, and it is very dangerous unless you really want it. That could be a problem. It may also be that you have Flash, but lately Safari won't let it run if it's an older version because of these security flaws. In other words, Aurelia, your Mac is trying to protect you. That's good. I'm glad you're running a Mac because there's not nearly the number of bad things on a Mac. And Apple will very much let you know when there's an update. They don't update all the time. Although they are going to, in the next couple of months, give you a new update to OS X. That'll be nice. I guess probably what I would recommend is get google.com/Chrome, get Chrome, or update Flash. You can do that from going to adobe.com, or just search for Get Flash Player. Get Flash Player, and download the latest version of Flash. Since it's Facebook, that's probably what's missing. Facebook uses Flash in many cases to play back videos on the Facebook page. Chrome would also solve this. And Apple's just trying to protect you. And you shouldn't, it's probably a good idea not to bypass these protections. Because Flash is notorious. The older versions of Flash, which is probably what you have, are really dangerous. Same thing with Java. It's hard to keep Java safe, frankly. If you Google Get Flash Player, Google goes, oh, I know what she wants. And there's actually a big picture on the screen that says Adobe Flash Player and a button that says Go to Download. And it will tell you how to get that. And that's not a bad idea. Keep that up to date if you need it. And I guess you do need it, unfortunately, still. Apple did its best to kill Flash. They didn't put it on iOS, but you still need it. Thanks for the call, Aurelia. I appreciate it. I hope that helps. It's your computer trying to protect you, so don't ignore it. We're going to get this call like we got from Aurelia more and more, aren't we? Because this is a problem. It's a problem even I face. You know, we talked about our new website, but the live streaming video on that website is mostly Flash because we use Ustream and BitGravity and other player sites, you know, and they still use Flash for the most part. I think that's got to change, though, right? Because it doesn't work on iOS, tablet, or phone. Apple doesn't install Flash on Macintoshes anymore. I think Google's kind of got the right idea. They build it into their browser, Chrome, and they keep it and Chrome up to date automatically, so you don't have to think about it. That's probably the best solution. I like the Chrome browser. It sometimes has a little trouble on the Mac, but I think in general it's my preferred browser. You get it from google.com/Chrome. Probably a good idea to have. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. The website, techguylabs.com, and a little reminder, I'm going on vacation at the end of the month, so we're going to continue recording calls for an hour after the show. So another hour to come on the air, and another hour after that. If you have a hard time getting in, I know it's tough sometimes, remember that number and keep calling. 8888 Ask Leo. We'll be taking extra calls after the show ends. TechGuyLabs.com, the website. Chat room is there. Phone number's there. And links to everything I mentioned is there. And your comments are more than welcome. And by the way, it is free. You don't have to pay anything. You don't even have to sign up. It's like the old days of the web. You just go and you click. TechGuyLabs.com. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. More to come right after this. Da-da-da-da. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smart watches and smartphones and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada, I think. And then outside those areas, you could just use Skype and reach us. Lots of calls. Let's get to as many as we can, starting with Kate in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Leo.
Welcome.
Been watching you a long time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I thoroughly enjoy.
Oh, aren't you sweet?
The question is, I've been wrestling with iTunes for too many years.
Everybody. And losing.
Yeah.
Wrestling and losing.
Really. But it makes it even worse when you're a classical music fan.
Oh.
It's a nightmare because you have a symphony with 4 movements, and movements may have the same name.
Yes.
But they get thrown in with other composers.
It's very confusing. I have the same problem.
So, anyway, right now I have all my CDs from when I first bought CDs, and I also have vinyl. And I want to listen to it in the house. I got rid of my, quote, stereo. I want to listen to it around the house, possibly on my phone. And I've used iTunes twice. I've entered my hundreds of CDs.
No.
And it's been a mess.
No.
Also, I say podcasts. It's been a mess. Is that my only choice? And should I commit to it for the third time, save hundreds of CDs on my iTunes?
Well, don't you still have the files?
Oh, no, because I had a big disagreement with HP for 6 months.
And a hard drive is gone.
Well, and I've used carbonite and external hard drives, but, when you push and pull, the files are corrupted.
Next time you rip your CDs, and I guess you have to one more time because you don't have a copy.
Right.
My suggestion is to use Apple Lossless. I presume you use iTunes to rip them.
Yes.
Okay. Use Apple Lossless and you're on a Mac?
No.
Oh.
I have.
Good news. You have a Windows PC.
Yeah, I have a Windows PC. I have one of those Western Digital hard drives.
Yeah, so Windows, the nice thing about having Windows in this case is you're not stuck with iTunes. Apple folks don't have many choices because everybody uses iTunes on the Mac platform. All the companies that used to make third-party software for music playback are kind of gone. There's one still called Vox that I use on the Mac, but it's not particularly sophisticated. You, on the other hand, on Windows, you can use something called Media Monkey.
I heard you talk about that with somebody else.
I would get Media Monkey. And this time when you rip your CDs, rip them to a lossless format. In this case, with Media Monkey, FLAC, F-L-A-C. That makes a copy of the CD that's the same exact audio quality as a CD. In effect, it makes another master, a hard drive master. And then I would actually keep that Western Digital if you want, or get another one. And I'm very protective of my CD rips because I would love to get rid of the CDs entirely. So I make copies of them on a second hard drive, put that away. I use Carbonite too, and then that way you've got a couple of.
What do you save them as MP3s?
No, save them as FLACs. That's instead of AAC or MP3.
Okay.
You can still make MP3s if disk space is a problem or you want to play them back on a portable device. But the FLAC is the same quality as the CD, and that's important. You want to make.
Wonderful.
Yeah, keep that, and you don't want to ever do this again. So make a couple of copies of it, and so that way, even if one of them gets damaged, you've got a good one. And then. Use Media Monkey to categorize them. And now the final part of it is to use a music service that will mean that your library is available to you from the cloud no matter where you go. And there's 2 companies that do this right now. One is Amazon, and one is Google. And I like Google Music.
I've got Google Music, but I haven't used it much.
Yeah, their all-access music is $10 a month, just like Spotify and everybody else. It gives you access to probably many of those classical. I listen to a lot of classical music just right from Google All Access. And then your existing collection, it will also upload to Google, which means it's protected, and you can listen to anything, whether they have it or not, because you have it. On your phone, around the house. You can use your Sonos system. If you have a Sonos system, it'll play back the music.
Bless you. No more fighting with iTunes.
I think it's a much better solution. And if you're on Windows, you're lucky because iTunes is not a great solution.
No. Yeah.
So we want to make make archival copies of the CDs. That means rip them with MediaMonkey, which is free. Rip them as FLAC. That means it's exactly the same as the CD. If you burn a CD with a FLAC file, it would be indistinguishable. And that's good. You can still make MP3s, but you can now make it from the FLAC file much faster. Everything's easier.
Thank you.
Yeah, and archive that so you don't have to do that again. And then MediaMonkey will do a good job of putting them in albums, and it has lots of renaming capabilities so you can really organize them. And then I would pay $10 a month for Google Music, and there's a little downloader you get from Google Music that downloads, or actually really uploads, all of your music from your collection to Google, so it's available everywhere on your phone. Even if you just open the Google Music app on your phone, and there's everything. I love that. That's a great solution. Amazon does something very similar, but Google's gives you a ton of storage. I can't remember now what the total is. It's 25,000 songs, but it's more, I think. Really a great deal. Hey, thanks. It's great to talk to you. Thank you. I'm in a similar boat, Kate. I love classical music, and unfortunately, iTunes and everybody else pays all the attention to the kids these days because they want to get the kids. 8888 Ask Leo. We're going to take a break. When we come back, more of your calls. We're going to talk about email and the GizWiz, our gadget guru, coming up in about half an hour. Don't forget, we'll continue to tape for phone calls after the top of the hour. So if you're on the line, hang on the line. I'm going to get to everybody, I promise. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Ryan in Huntington Beach. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for hanging on. What can I do for you?
No problem. So I just got a new smartphone, the Alcatel Idol 3. Pretty. Yeah, it's that French stuff. It's one of their new flagship. But,
yeah, they're the French telco. I haven't seen any of their phones. You like it, huh?
Yeah, it's okay. I'm coming from an HTC One M7, which had a lot of problems with the purple tint on the camera and the speaker.
Yeah, I love that. I love that device design, but yeah, especially the camera. HTC just really hasn't been able to do that very well.
Yeah, they blew it. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm enjoying the phone so far. I do tech support for a law firm, and historically, I've just been using the stock email app with active sync to my Exchange account.
Mm-hmm.
And everything's been working out great, but on the Alcatel stock email app, they don't support notifications for my subfolders. And I call it my computer subfolder because we have an alias, computer@domain.com.
Right.
And I got an Outlook rule set up that'll dump all my help requests into that folder.
Yeah, so you want to be pinged whenever anybody gives you a help message.
Exactly.
You need it.
That's the most important one. I'm
right.
on call a lot. I work after hours, and I'm only getting notifications for my inbox. So I tried a couple of other apps. I tried the Outlook app, which most surprisingly doesn't support that sort of thing.
It doesn't?
Wow.
No.
And I tried Boomerang last night. Same thing. I've seen one paid app that actually mentions that you can alter your subfolder notifications. I think it was called like 9mail.
K9 probably, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the old power tool for Android Mail. It's K9 Mail, and it's not expensive. $4, $5.
I thought the one I saw in the Play Store was $9.
$9, yikes!
That was a discounted rate from their $20 rate.
Yeah, I own it and I've used it. It's more like it's like a power mail solution. A lot of people use it. I think if anything, that would be the one to get. Google's Inbox, it's too bad. I don't think Inbox works with Exchange. It only works with Gmail, unfortunately.
That's true. They also do IMAP and POP3, but my Exchange account is one of those.
Google's Inbox does do that. It lets you designate special folders and say, I want to be notified when this folder gets mail.
Yeah, I just can't hook that up to my Exchange account.
No, I understand. I'd say K9 is probably your best bet. I'm looking at the chat room to see if any of them as Android users. Nice thing about your Alcatel, you do have Lollipop on there. You have 5.0. So
yeah.
At least you can use the latest and greatest. It's funny. In fact, some ways I wonder if K9 is Lollipop compatible. I'm glad to hear they're keeping it up to date. I don't know that it'll do it. I hope it'll do it. I'm looking at the chat room to see if they say it will do it, but you said it just says that in the description.
Yeah, in the description on the Play Store.
You have 15 minutes. You have 15 minutes to download it, see if it does it, and then return it at no cost. Remember that? They used to give you a day. Now they give you 15 minutes. I don't know if that's...
Log in remotely and send myself an email.
You got to do it fast, really quick. Yeah. Dr. Mom, who's a physician, says what she did is set up a separate Gmail account. You could always do that. You could have your Exchange server forward it to a special dedicated email account. Then you could have Gmail or Inbox set up to that account, and it would certainly notify you. That sounds like a lot of extra work. Although keeping it in a separate account might be have other advantages. It'd always be available to you, for instance. Should the message you're getting be, the Exchange server is down?
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
That sounds like a nightmare.
Are you responsible for keeping that up as well?
Yeah, I do.
You have my deepest respect. That is not a... So this law firm says, well, we have to, for legal reasons, keep our law email private, so we're going to run our own email server.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah, wow. That is... I have a lot of respect for sysadmins who keep an Exchange server running. That's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. I've learned a lot in the past few years.
Yeah.
But it's never been an issue with subfolder notifications until I switched to this phone, and it's been pretty difficult to find somebody.
What did you use before? Were you using a Windows phone before? What were you using before?
I had the HT1 M7, and then before that, I had the HTC Inspire.
So HTC's mail app did do that.
Yeah.
Huh. Isn't that funny that because HTC's mail app is based on the Lollipop mail app, they just modified it somewhat.
Right. Yeah. I never thought that this would be an issue I'd ever have to talk.
Who'd have thunk it?
Yep.
Well, nobody in the chat room has a better solution, so
okay.
I think K9 is probably the thing to try. Charge it back to the company. In fact, do what they do and double the amount.
My friend said, well, can't you just expense it? And I was like, oh, I've never even thought about it.
Of course you can.
Yeah.
What do how much do they bill an hour? You can expense it. Hey, thanks for the call, Ryan. Yeah, I'll keep an eye peeled, and, of course, keep an eye on our website, techguylabs.com. One of the things we do there, besides making it free and available and open and no cost and no sign-up, is every question gets its own page. And not only is the video of the question and the transcript and so forth there, there's a comment box. And if people have a thought, you can also go there, techguylabs.com, and add your suggestion to Ryan on any of the calls. It's really great. Karen, Tustin, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Karen.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for hanging on. What can I do for you?
Well, I waited 6 long months to get my Amazon Echo, and I love it. It's awesome.
I just got mine, too. Isn't it amazing?
It is. It's so fun, and everyone loves it, but I just don't know what they have planned for it. I don't know if you've tried asking it a question or not, but you have to Wikipedia it. And
yeah, it's pretty dopey, but all of this stuff is. I think Amazon's trying to stay in this market that Microsoft with Cortana, Google with Google Now, Apple with Siri, are really showing the way. I mean, look, isn't this what we wanted? Isn't this what they promised us in 2001, A Space Odyssey? We'd be able to talk to our computer and it would respond in a nice voice. Echo's the closest thing I've seen yet, frankly.
Well, it's so much fun, and isn't it convenient that you can buy songs?
Yeah. Well, that's okay. If you ask what Amazon's plans are, look for more of that.
Well, yeah. Obviously.
For instance, if you have ordered something from Amazon before, you can set it up so that you can just say, hey, Amazon, I need more laundry detergent, and it will just send it to you. It won't even go through. Normally your shopping list goes to the app, and you can approve it and then send it. But you can set it up to immediately order stuff if you've ordered it before.
Yeah, I've already done that as well.
It reads Audible books to you now. It does your Google Calendar now. Look, all of these things are primitive, but they're getting better all the time. And I think Amazon seems pretty committed to this. What I'd like to see it do is tie to more smart home things. Have you tried this, then that?
No, I haven't.
Amazon Echo works with ifttt.com, and that means you can create recipes, which is very interesting. I have just set it up. I haven't really played with it much, but I would take a look at that. If this, then that. is kind of a sleeper on the internet that lets you create triggers, things like a speech command to the Echo, and responses. And wow, the power is increasing all the time. And it's free. IFTTT.com. Works with a lot of things, not just the Echo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's a good one. Dr. Mom says she has a if this then that recipe that calls, that says, you say, hey, Echo, call my phone. If she can't find it. That's awesome. Leo Laporte. I love that. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo, raising HE double hockey sticks here on the Premier Networks. And we were just playing with if this and that. I've had this for a long time, and I forgot how much fun you can have. So the idea of the website, and it's free, IFTTT.com, is you hook it up to all your stuff, your Facebook, your Tumblr, devices like your smartphone. It works with Android phones, not with iPhones, unfortunately. Things like that. Or your Amazon Echo, if you have one of those. And then you can use those devices as triggers to do something else. So, for instance, I have a little OBD3 connector on my car that watches me drive and keeps track of all that and creates graphs and things like that using software on my smartphone called Dash. So I can have it set up so that if my Dash notices the engine light on, for instance, that that's the if Dash notices engine light on, and then the next thing, what the action would be, I could set it up to put an appointment on my calendar to visit the mechanic. Things like that. It's a fascinating site, and as they've added more and more connected devices and things, and by the way, with a smart home, this is really cool. I had I don't do it anymore, but I had a if this then that recipe that, because it knows what your location is. I said, when the sun goes down, that changes every day, doesn't it? When the sun goes down, turn on my lights in my living room, my Hue lights in my living room, and make it be kind of sunsetty. And I did the other one. When the sun comes up, slowly ramp up my lights in my bedroom to wake me up, things like that. Pretty cool stuff. But it's very wide open. You know, so you have to kind of go there and play with it. But that would be, if you got an Echo, if you're lucky enough to get an Echo, Amazon is sending these out, I think, one a day, it feels like. I applied for mine months ago. First of all, you have to get an invitation. So you have to go to Amazon and say, hey, I want an Echo invitation. If you're a Prime member, it used to be $99, it's now $150. Worth it, I think. I mean, it's a good Bluetooth speaker, if nothing else, for $150. But it also listens all the time. You leave it in your kitchen or your living room or your dining room, and it listens all the time. You could say things like, tell me a joke, or give me my news briefing. Or for our shows, you could actually say, tune in to the Tech Guy show. And it would play our show, the podcast of our show. So there's some fun things you can do with it. I use it with my audiobooks. But I think with if this and that, it seems like the sky's the limit. Dr. Mom loves her Echo. She says, I could say, hey, Echo, call my phone, and it'll dial her a mobile phone. So when she's lost it, she can have the phone ring, and she can find it again. It's fun to play with. I don't know why Amazon's dribbling these out. You can't even order two. I think you can only order one per customer. But I expect that the first thing Amazon's going to do is make more of them. Because everybody I know who has one just goes, wow, this is great. Mark, listening to WGMD. Hey, Mark, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. I really enjoy your show.
Thank you so much for listening.
And you have a great sense of humor as well as great tech support.
Oh, you're very kind.
I've been a victim of the HTC One phone that has no battery.
We were just talking about that.
And I'm on my third one because I burn out all my ports. They get all bent. And because I have to have my phone on the cord all the time.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's a sealed back, and I can't get, like, an extended battery or anything like that.
This is the single most annoying thing about smartphones today is battery life.
And I love the Android platform, and the screen is great. It's just I can't. By noon, I'm out.
Well, there are two ways that Android phone manufacturers have addressed this. One is, like for the Galaxy S6, which still has a sealed back, is quick charge. The quick charge is nice because you can get back to 100% in about an hour.
Okay.
So that's one solution, not a great one if you ask me, but you can buy external battery packs that support quick charge.
You know, I know the Bofi pack, you know, of course, it boggles my mind that somebody would put a phone out that they immediately need a battery pack for.
Well, the other option is to get one with the back that opens.
Yes.
And an additional battery. You know, I just got the LG G4, and right now LG, probably in acknowledgement of this, has a deal where you get an extra battery. If you buy one, you send in the coupon, and they give you an extra battery and a little memory card.
Okay.
Kind of to highlight the fact that on the G4, you can remove the back. So if you have two batteries, you keep one.
That solves the problem.
Yeah, and it's pretty. Now remember, you're going to open the back and take out the battery, so it's going to kill the phone. Although Android phones really benefit from restarting from time to time.
I do mine every other day.
So think of it as a blessing, not a curse. But these little batteries are a lot smaller than a battery pack. And when I travel, that's basically what I do. The only time it's an issue for me is when I travel.
Okay.
Because I won't be near a charger for 24 hours. So by carrying a second, and sometimes even a third battery, I have the advantage of kind of unlimited. You laugh, but I have actually used 3 batteries. The Note 4 is another good choice. That's the most recent Note version from Samsung. Nice screen, really nice screen, great camera, much better camera than the HTC, and removable battery, which means you can get a couple extra batteries, a little charger. But I have to say the LG G4 might be a good solution for you because right now you get a free second battery.
That's I moved off the Android or the HTC because it was just. And I got no customer support either.
Yeah, well, you won't from any of these guys. I mean, the truth is, Apple's licked it. Apple has not had openable phones ever, but by really controlling the platform and very much limiting what third-party applications can do, both the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus have easily get through the day. At least in my usage, easily get through the day. Now, your mileage may vary because there are things that can cause a phone to drain fast. For instance, if you're in a weak cell phone area, the phone tries harder to get the signal or is always pinging to get the signal. That can kill a phone in a half a day, even with great battery life.
Yeah, and I understand that. I've been a techie guy since I was a PFC in the Army in 1983.
You know. People are reminding me that the Sony Z3 has very good battery life. So does the OnePlus One. Neither of those, I don't know about the Sony. The OnePlus One does not have a removable battery, but I was easily able to get 20 hours out of that. And that's because they didn't do a super high-res screen. You know, they compromised in a few ways. I think the LG G4 might be a good one to look at.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I appreciate the call.
Thank you.
Take care. One more question. You said you were a tech in the Army?
Yeah, back in 1983 when I went in, I was a computer operator.
You can verify an urban legend for me then,
Okay.
or deny it. I was always told that some of the Army repair manuals had a method for fixing electronics equipment that involved hitting it. Is that true?
That is not true. If you do something like that, you get court-martialed.
Whack it. Well, it works sometimes, especially in the old days with tubes and stuff would work their way out. Hitting it sometimes would reseat everything.
We used to power it down back then, too.
Yeah, reboot. All right, good. Glad to know that's not true. I had been told that, but probably somebody was pulling my leg. Impact maintenance or percussive maintenance, selective stimulus. Our chat room at least has some good names for it. 8888 Ask Leo. Hey, guess who's coming up in just a few minutes? Dick DeBartolo. He's Mad Magazine's maddest writer. We call him the Gizwiz because he always has a crazy gizmo or gadget. He's just around the corner. By the way, I do, for my Galaxy S6, have a quick charge external battery from a company called Aukey, A-U-K-E-Y, that does the job. It's pretty impressive. All right, taking a break. We'll be back with Dick, Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. I also have a lot of these chargers. I buy a lot of these Qualcomm Quick Charge 2.0 chargers everywhere. That was me trying to solve that problem. Hey, our show today brought to you by ZipRecruiter.com. If you're one of those people in business that has to do the hiring, oh man, I know how hard that can be. But ZipRecruiter can make your job a lot easier. We use ZipRecruiter here. The idea is you go to ZipRecruiter.com, you post your job once, they post it to 100-plus job sites, plus social networks like Twitter and Facebook and Craigslist, and you're going to just, the applicants are just going to roll in. They even have 4 million current resumes. People go to ZipRecruiter and say, here's my resume. It's great for job hunters as well. And they'll match them up. And you post your job and it matches the resume, they'll give you that too. So you're really going to get a lot of applicants. Now, you might say, well, whoa, wait a minute. I don't want a million calls or a million emails. No. All the applicants go right into ZipRecruiter's interface, where you go to ZipRecruiter.com, you screen them, you rate them, you pick the right person fast. This is so brilliant. I want you to try it right now. I got 4 days free for you. ZipRecruiter.com/techguy. ZipRecruiter.com/techguy. It's not enough just to post on one job site or 2 or 3. Post to all 100+ of them. And you're going to get the right candidate, and you're going to hire them fast, and your life will be better. I promise you. ZipRecruiter.com/techguy. We thank them so much for their support of our Tech Guy podcast. Hey, that's Dick DeBartolo. He, for many years, was on Live with Regis and Kathy Lee.
Yes.
Did Kathy Lee hate Gelman as much as she acted?
I don't think she was his biggest fan. Regis was more, the two of them went on the road together and had an act, Regis and Michael Gelman. So they
must have been friends.
They were good friends, yeah.
Well, Gelman has outlasted both Kathy Lee and Regis.
Yes.
Still the executive producer of the show.
Yeah.
Dick did that for many years, and then I think about 2001, I started doing it when it was Kelly and Regis, and then I just gave up. It was too much work. I had to fly out to New York, had to have 100 gadgets.
Yes, and Michael likes you to bring 1,000 things to the studio.
And then he says, that one, not that one, that one, not that. And then you go, oh, okay. and you have to go a day early for rehearsal.
Yeah.
I don't rehearse, as you know.
No.
I like to wing it.
Exactly.
After many years.
Except for these spots where we rehearse for days at a time.
Days. I'm a taskmaster.
No, that's the great thing about Twit is the camera goes on, you talk about it, and
you're done.
You're done. That's right.
What do you got for us today?
You can love it or hate it. Okay, this is from a company called Kinivo, Kinivo. And if you have an older car or a cheapy car that doesn't have Bluetooth, this is a way to add Bluetooth to cars. And most cars, the company tells me, from about 2006 and on, if they don't have Bluetooth, they do have an audio in jack on the dashboard. So this is a little Bluetooth device. You plug it in. Then you have a little disc that mounts onto the dashboard. It plugs into 12 volts for power. At the back of the 12-volt plug, there is another USB.
Is this silly, this kind of funny-looking thing?
No,
Which one is it? Am I in the right place?
Are you on Kinivo? It's the Bluetooth car kit. You are, yes.
Kinivo.
Look for accessories.
Accessories. Bluetooth.
Right.
Kinivo.
You know what?
There it is. I found it. It's a little hockey puck with a wire.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's on gizwiz.biz too.
So you plug this into the aux jack. You have to have a little mini jack for the aux.
Exactly, and then into the cigarette lighter. And then the back of the power port on the cigarette lighter has a USB port in there, so you can charge your phone. Now you can, once you pair the phone, every time you get in the car, our friend Ted Johnson has one of these. He absolutely loves it. As soon as you get near the car, it pairs with it.
That's great.
Now, If you are using your phone for GPS, the directions, the navigation is coming over the car speaker system.
The phone acts just like you have a built-in Bluetooth in your car.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
great.
The side of the little dial can go through your music, forward, reverse, stop. There's a built-in microphone in this little guy, so you can take phone calls and it'll stop the music. And it's really neat. So this one is the newest one that supports aptX, which I don't even know what it is.
Well, I'm glad, though. That's good, whatever that is.
Yeah, exactly.
Apartment X, I think, is what it is.
Apartment X. And the newer one, you can pair multiple phones to it, and that is $49.99 on Amazon. But if you only have one phone and you never want to pair anything else to it, you can buy the older model, which is the 450, which is $34.99 on Amazon.
Yeah.
So it's an easy way to upgrade your car.
K-I-N-I-V-O, the Kenevo. You find out more about that at gizwiz.biz. That's Dick's website. You just click the Gizwiz Visits the Tech Guy link, and everything's there. Shows you all the stuff he's ever mentioned on the show. While you're there, though, do play the What the Heck Is It game, because what is that? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a close-up picture of a gadget. If you could identify that gadget, you could win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine from this guy. It's going to be the Minions version. Alfred E. Newman is a Minion.
August issue.
That's nice. And while you're there, now you must have a link, I hope you do, to your show on here, do you?
You know what?
Gizwiz.tv. Here it is.
There it is. Yep.
Here it is. It'll link right out to your show you do with Chad every week. It's
every week.
Must-watch show. Fake TV, real fun. Gizwiz.tv. And support it, too, with your dollars at patreon.com. That's well worth it. I see Chad's given a good home to the Gizwiz sign.
Yes. We could not do the show without it.
And he stole a fez, but that's okay. That's okay. He should have a fez.
No, he rented it.
He rented that?
Yes, from Alex.
Hey, Dick, great to talk to you. As always, we'll talk again next week. Dick DeBartolo, Mad's Maddest Writer, and the Gizwiz. Got a few more minutes in the show. Don't forget, I'm going to continue to record after the show ends for another hour or so, because we're recording ahead for my vacation. I like to give you fresh stuff every time you listen. Eric in Palm Spring, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Eric.
Hey, Leo, how are you?
I'm great.
For my call.
Thanks for calling.
Listen, I've got a problem, or at least I think I have a problem. I've been an AOL customer for the past 15 years.
Well, you definitely have a problem. I'm sorry. Go ahead. That's mean. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You know, when I like something, I kind of stick with it for a while.
Why not? Why change if it's working for you?
Yeah, that's true. As one of my congratulatory pop-up messages from AOL,
yeah,
being with them for so long, they recommended that I use a service called Slim Cleaner Plus.
No.
Well, here's what I did, and I know you're going to really go, uh-oh. Coming from AOL, I thought that it was fine.
It's an ad.
Well, yeah, I know better than that. I really do. In any event, I allowed someone who I think was in India, I didn't know that was going to happen, to clean up my PC, which they really did because I was having problems.
Well, that's good.
You know, and drivers needed updating. Things like.
Well, maybe that's not so bad. That might not be so bad.
I've had no problems ever since, but then I decided to go ahead and Google it, and I'm getting conflicting messages on Google saying you should remove it. No, you should keep it. So I thought, well, I'm going to try to remove it. When I try to remove it with Microsoft uninstall programs, I get a pop-up that says someone's trying to access your account.
Oops.
So am I in trouble?
No, but that's really bad behavior to not be uninstallable. I would say, okay, somebody that's trying to access your account is you, so that's okay. But that was an ad. Actually, sounds like you got your money's worth. How much was it?
To be honest, $350.
Yeah, I mean,
and you were on it for about an hour, hour and a half.
That's worth it. You'd be hard pressed these days to go out and find a tech that's any good. So if you feel like you did a good job, the problem is you got to really trust somebody when you give them access to your computer because they're doing stuff you don't know.
Exactly.
Including perhaps installing malware, but you just don't know that. Now, given that AOL was advertising, it's probably fine. The mixed reports you're hearing probably come from people who say, well, it doesn't do anything, or you should never give somebody that you don't know access to your computer, both of which might be true. I would work harder to uninstall it. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not doing any good sitting there running on your system, so it would be worth doing that. In general, though, I wouldn't do this kind of thing. It's just risky. And when AOL gives you a pop-up, that isn't a certificate of good housekeeping. That's an ad. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.